The police lights flashed across my cabin like I'd just broken into someone else's house. Neighbors whispered, filming, and Karen was pointing at me like I was a fugitive. The officers were seconds away from hauling me off until the police chief stepped out of his SUV and called me cousin. Act 1. The conflict begins. My name's Jack Turner, retired, early 60s, just trying to enjoy life after decades of grinding in construction. I bought a cabin on Lake Pine for one reason: peace. Fishing in the morning, grilling at night. 2 Labradors named Daisy and Duke by my side. I didn't expect to end up in the middle of an HOA battlefield. The HOA here was run by Karen Blackstone. You know the type: blonde bob, oversized sunglasses, designer blazer, even when she's watering her lawn. And of course, the clipboard. Always the clipboard. She strutted around the neighborhood like she was a queen guarding her castle. The first time we met, she didn't even say welcome. She marched up my driveway, waved her clipboard, and barked. Violations. Paint colors too dull. Porch lights too bright. Mailboxes too low. Fix them or face fines. I thought she was joking. I even chuckled. Offered her cookies. Emily baked. She didn't crack a smile, just scribbled notes like she was writing arrest warrants. Over the next weeks, the fines stacked up. Grass half an inch too long. Duke barking at a squirrel. Daisy digging a hole by the mailbox. I stayed polite, paid some fees, ignored the rest. But I could see the pattern. Karen wasn't keeping standards. She was flexing control. When I told my neighbor Tom I was going fishing for 2 weeks, he grinned. "Don't worry, Jack. I'll keep an eye on your place. But watch out. Karen doesn't like people leaving their houses empty." I thought he was kidding. I packed my rods, hit the lake, and turned my phone off for the first time in months. But halfway through the trip, Tom's text buzzed in. "Karen's snooping around your cabin, talking about calling the cops." I laughed it off. No way it could get that crazy. Right. Act 2. Escalation and doubt. When I pulled back into my driveway 2 weeks later, the joke was on me. 2 patrol cars blocked the gravel, red and blue lights painting my cabin like a crime scene. Neighbors clustered around, phones out, murmuring, and there was Karen, finger jabbing at me like she was pointing out a thief. "That's him. He abandoned the property. He doesn't belong here. I killed the engine." Stunned. "This is my house," I said. "I've got the deed inside." But the officers stepped forward. One reached for cuffs, and my stomach dropped. Was I really about to get arrested in front of the whole neighborhood? Then another car pulled up. A black SUV. Out stepped Chief Mark Turner, tall, broad-shouldered, gray hair, sharp eyes. My cousin. The crowd hushed. Mark scanned the scene, then broke into a grin. "Jack, what the hell did you do this time?" Karen stammered. "Chief, this man is trespassing. He doesn't own this cabin." Mark raised an eyebrow. "Karen, this man's been family to me for 50 years, and I know damn well he owns the place." The crowd erupted in whispers, laughter rippling through. I felt my knees loosen, relief flooding in. Karen's face turned crimson, but she didn't back down. She never did. The next day, she filed new complaints. Porch light on too long, grass overgrown, dogs barking. She showed up in her spotless white blazer, clipboard shaking, screaming about community standards. Duke, bless him, ran straight at her, wagging his tail, jumped up, left muddy paw prints all over her blazer. The crowd of neighbors watching burst into laughter. Karen screeched, stormed off, but I could see it in her eyes. She wasn't done. For a brief moment, I thought the worst was behind me. With Mark on my side, surely Karen would back off. I was wrong, because that's when Bryce Dalton stepped in. Vice president of the HOA. Slick suit, slicker smile. Unlike Karen, Bryce didn't throw tantrums, he played chess. And I was his next piece. First came the lawsuit's stack of papers claiming I owed thousands in back HOA fees. Then came utility errors. My water cut off for a week. Then the intimidation drones buzzing over my cabin. Flyers stuffed in mailboxes calling me a nuisance neighbor. And one night, midnight, a brick shattered my window. A note tied around it. Leave or regret it. I sat in the dark, glass crunching under my boots, Daisy and Duke trembling at my feet. For the first time, I thought maybe Karen had won. Maybe the HOA really was too powerful. Maybe I should just sell the cabin and walk away. I slumped in my chair, whispering to myself, what if I made a mistake? What if fighting back just makes it worse? But the next morning, Tom knocked on my door. Behind him stood Karen, and for the first time, she wasn't smirking. "Jack," she said quietly, "I think Bryce is the real problem. He's been pushing all of us, even me. You're not the only one he's hurt." Hearing Karen say that was like watching the devil confess. That was my turning point. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't alone. Bryce wanted the cabin to flip it to his company, to make a fortune off cheap property. And he was using Karen as his cover. Mark told me, paper beats shouting every time. So I dug receipts, texts, emails Tom slipped me. Everything showed Bryce's plan: fine people into debt, then scoop up their homes through his company. Act 3, Climax and Justice. The courtroom was packed. Neighbors, board members, curious locals. Bryce strutted in with his lawyers, smirk plastered on his face. Karen sat at the back, arms crossed, eyes down. His case, a laundry list of petty nonsense. Grass height, barking dogs, porch lights. When it was my turn, I handed Judge Randall a folder. County records showing I owned the cabin outright. Emails from Bryce threatening foreclosure. Testimony from Tom, and even Karen, admitting Bryce had forged signatures and bullied residents. The room buzzed. Bryce's smirk cracked. Judge Randall slammed his gavel. "This is vindictive. This is fraud. Mr. Dalton, you've wasted this court's time." He issued a restraining order against Bryce, ordered his removal from the HOA board. The room erupted in whispers, some neighbors clapping. Bryce went pale, but he wasn't finished. That night, flames flickered at the edge of my property. An arson attempt. Investigators swarmed. And what did they find? A lighter, initials carved right into it. Abby D. The next morning, Mark cuffed Bryce himself. Fraud, harassment, arson, done. At the following HOA meeting, the vote was unanimous. Bryce expelled, Karen stripped of her power, replaced by Mrs. Patterson, our sweet elderly neighbor, who'd had enough of the madness. The Queen and the King of Cedar Hills were dethroned in one sweep. And me, I sat on my porch, Daisy and Duke at my feet, sipping coffee as the lake reflected a perfect sunset. Final beat. Because bullies don't collapse when you yell at them. They collapse when you shine a light on their lies.